Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike, and it's been so long since we last met, fam. But Duck Daddy is back. And Papa Pato did not come back empty-handed either, fam. With me today, I have an amazing topic. Now, if you know me, you know there's a special place in my heart for indie film, B-movies, and low-budget movies. Also, if you've been following me for a while, then you'll know that 2023 was one hell of a year for these kind of movies. I like to call it the year of the bear, because both Cocaine Bear and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey dropped. And this year, one of those bears are going to be returning for yet another rampage. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is set to release at the end of March this year, and already it's causing a lot of waves. Hell, just today, the trailer dropped, and fam, oh my god, it is miles away from the original. But I'm getting too ahead of myself here. So before we go any further, I just want to give some background for those who may be watching this video but may be unfamiliar with this whole situation. So, for those unfamiliar, the first installment of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey featured Pooh and Piglet leaving the 100-acre woods, going on a murderous rampage after feeling abandoned by Christopher Robin, who left them to go off to university. The movie was produced on a budget of just $100,000. And despite mixed reviews, it had a stellar box office performance. Now you're thinking, or you may be thinking, how was all this possible? Isn't Winnie the Pooh owned by Disney? Well, actually, the Disney version is based on an earlier children's book that was published in, I want to say, 1925, perhaps, somewhere around there. And that book entered the public domain, which means its copyright has lapsed. And so pretty much you can do anything with the characters from that original book as long as they use nothing, or your depiction uses nothing from later depictions of said characters that are still under copyright. Now I'm just going to go on and throw this out there. I'm not a huge fan of the horror genre as a whole, but it is growing on me. That being said, I still do enjoy individual films, and the first installment was one such film. I was drawn to it originally because of my interest in all things related to the public domain. And also, I found the concept to be exciting. You have Pooh, one of the cuddliest and friendliest characters ever in all of children's literature, going on a murderous rampage. It sounds insane on paper. And it indeed is quite insane. And I love horror films with an insane concept. Another example of this would be the original Human Centipede film. And I personally loved that film. I loved the concept. It was insane. It was so out there, but it worked. And in my very biased opinion, it worked quite well. And in regards to Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, the original film, apparently many other people felt the same way as I did, as it poured in an astonishing $5 million at the box office. Now, $5 million may not seem like a lot, but when you keep in mind that this film had a budget of $100,000, that's 50 times more than its budget. So yeah, fam, it was a stellar success. And almost immediately, a sequel was announced. And I was like, oh hell yeah, fam, here we go. But the more I learned about the sequel, the more excited I got. And this is what has me so excited about the sequel film. First is the increased budget. The first installment had only a budget of $100,000, while the upcoming sequel has 50 times that. With a $5 million budget, this installment can push well beyond the limits of the first film. In fact, from what I can gather, most people's criticisms of the film, or the first film I should say, stem from budget issues. And I feel like that's absolutely bullshit. If you go into a small budget film with big budget expectations, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. It's like going to McDonald's for a burger and expecting a mom and pop place type quality. Now admittedly, I come from a background of working with budget filmmaking, so I'm not the most neutral person on this issue, but regardless, that's my fault in that situation. But regardless, all or most of the criticisms levied at the first film should be remedied by this increased budget. The second reason is better costumes. One of the major criticisms levied at the first film was the quality of the costumes, and most noticeably, Pooh's mask. The first film, however, only had a costume budget of $770, while the sequel had a budget of $20,000. But that's not all, fam. The Hollywood Reporter states that another improvement from the previous film is that a full, dedicated prosthetics team was enlisted to bring to life these nightmarish creatures. And this can be seen from a few images that have been released from the film and also from the trailer that dropped today. So let's compare how Pooh looks in the first film and how he looks in the second film. Another reason I'm so excited for the sequel is the new characters and the new actors. Now, with the increased budget comes an even greater cast of characters. Though, more cash isn't the only reason for this expanded cast. The second original Winnie the Pooh book, The House at Pooh Corner, which introduced Tigger, entered the public domain on January 1st this year. Now, fans will notice his color may be different from the depictions they're used to. Notably the Disney depiction. And that's to be expected as his color was not orange in this original public domain depiction. In regards to the main cast, Collider reports the following. Scott Chambers will play the former owner and best friend to Winnie the Pooh, and the rest of the 100-Acre Wood creatures, Christopher Robin. Ryan Oliver, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, will be starring as none other than the murderous Winnie the Pooh himself. And Peter DeSouza Faye Honey plays a young Winnie. And although the first installment of Blood and Honey insinuated Piglet's demise, he will apparently return in the sequel, played by Eddie McKenzie. Louis Santer is embodying the role of Favorite Tigger. And finally, from what we know, Simon Callow has been cast as Cavendish, rumored by Variety to have a connection with Robin. And this, Collider says, is a true statement to the budget increase for the sequel, as Simon Callow is a very famous actor, a very celebrated British actor, with his most famous role being Shakespeare in Love. Another criticism levied at the first film was the small kill count. However, this time around, the main cast is not the only thing that has expanded. With the increased budget comes a longer list of victims for the feral Pooh & Co. In fact, in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, it appears as if they have the opposite issue now. In an interview, producer Scott Jeffrey stated, "We have a substantially higher budget than the first, and we've got a little problem at the moment, because there are too many deaths in it. And lastly, something Tigger this way comes. This film is going to set up something greater." According to the Hollywood Reporter, Jeffrey and Rice Waterfield plan to keep adding to the franchise yearly, with each new release increasing in quality and budget. The aim for this is not just to build a franchise and a fan base, but to build a cinematic universe, fam. Now here, this is the most interesting point here. Now, this cinematic universe is not only going to include the Pooh franchise, but also other franchises, such as the forthcoming Bambi and Peter Pan franchises, as well as 2 unannounced franchises, with these 2 unannounced franchises receiving Easter eggs in this forthcoming Pooh sequel. And if I sound excited, that's because I'm absolutely am, fam. One of my dreams has been for the longest time to see a low-budget cinematic universe created. Now, granted, I never imagined it would be a classic children public domain horror universe, but you know what? I can get down with it, fam. And even more so than that, I'm excited to see what direction they're going to take this in. And this particular upcoming sequel to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I think is going to be a great start to such an endeavor. Now, here are my final thoughts on all of this. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, then you may have heard me in one of my previous episodes of Coffee with Big Mike talk about the Human Centipede trilogy. And as I mentioned earlier, I really loved the first Human Centipede. And while I liked the latter 2 films, I didn't love them. Now here, I felt like those 2 latter films were just more of the same, just on a larger scale, whereas I found their first to be innovative, something new, something absurd, something different. And because of this, you may think this is how I'd feel about the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. But no, absolutely not. Now, admittedly, with the Pooh sequel, the scale is definitely going to be bigger, but I think the sequel will add more to it than just that. With the addition of new characters, there's going to be addition of new personalities. Tigger is a hyper-energetic, outgoing, almost ADD type of person, whereas Al is a super erudite, sometimes some would even say condescending scholar type. Now, will these personalities play a role? And if so, how? I'm curious to see if they do, and I'm also curious to see if they all go along with Pooh, like Piglet did in the first movie, or if they will do their own thing. So going into this, I feel like there are a lot of possibilities, and I'm looking forward to see how they approach it. Also, I feel like the first film had a lot of potential, and I could see the filmmaker's talent and skill and careful eye in the cinematography of that first film. So I am equally excited to see what they can do with less budget constraints. So in case you can't tell in my voice, I am very hyped for this film, and I am definitely going to be checking this film out when it drops. As of now, this is my most anticipated movie of the year. However, I want to hear from you. Do you plan to see it? Let me know, and tell me why or why not in the comments. And with that out of the way, we will call it here, fam. Special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. She's back on Twitter, so please give her a follow. A special thanks to all my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And most importantly, a special thank you to all of you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it. Dislike it if you dislike it. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. And if you like my content, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!